Sanje Zhudong Zhujin Chunum Na Chanchu Bado Da Nen Jab Zhuje Da Ji Jinsu Gewe Chunum Je Ndo Na Binje Sanje Zhu Wan Shang Sanje Chu Dang Zhujin Chunum Na Chanchu Bado Da Nen Jab Zhuje Da Ji Jinsu Gewe Chunum Je Ndo Na Binje Sanje Zhu Wan Shang. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and so on, may I attain Buddhahood for all the sentient beings. Okay, now we are on the verse number 11. 다감 다기 시험나 동행이다 측줍다 미니 시제 민도데 달라 텔레 도베소스. Okay. Kelsey is not here, right?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Kelsey, I cannot see you.
My
You
internet's
change your
not working
name?
very well.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, please, Kelsey, read verse number 11 for me.
For myself and for my friends, I want no suffering, no disrespect, no harsh words, and nothing unpleasant. But for my enemies, it is the opposite.
So now, if we look at the outline is striving to abandon anger upon having analyzed the cause for anger in detail. Because detail, right? Detail. The name, the verse itself is on the Yanla subject harsigre. Sawe subject Yanla subject ni
the branch
the branch
branch outline or the subsidiary outline, something like that.
The branch outline for this is showing the general divisions of objects for generating anger. 다기 시험나 동의 녀의 측주다 민예 시제 민도들 달 텔레도서 다 me 다기 시 my friends 아니 동의 녀의 측주다 나바칼다 for the why the object is me and my friend, and then the friend is just for like an example. It's more like my family, my teacher, everything you feel close to. That is the my. And then 다나다기 시험남다 동행이다. The first two, the objects, the number considered aspect of or the reason why you're the angry is because of harming them by the harming by just giving the harm towards the body or or making them uncomfortable feelings. Listen the body and mentally, both physically and mentally disturbed or harmed. And then so those there are so many the ways of harming, but the most important why this nyeba means disrespect, disrespecting them, and harsh words. Those two can be like a kind of a direct weapon or direct thing to arise the anger. So that's why harsh words and disrespect are the Shantideva said it separately. Yeah, but it's minyeshi mindutis. Tatanda dus lemna digdo samen. Chobi yu chowar chekku bigi ta gyumzin dosaki yu de la da ngada en nye shesido ta chokbo da lota nyeba tuzo la eni tanda namba khandriki tohne eni lusimla dungye chesons chik eni nyejyo chesons nyejyo sedu disrespector ba nyejyo chesons eni chikzu kasore 칭예들이 셰송스 harshwords 셰송스 디제 참말라다 민도바 인자 안디 제베 듬제기 아니 룰 가저로 셈나 민데바 총네 민데바 총바 인자 디기 콘로 지기요레스 다 달라 텔레 도데 아니 가소레 단다 민도바디 달라 제베이나 달라 제베이나 랑싱야 콘도사이치 디 인도 잠베 단다 디 가사 저런 디 따에 총요나면은 단다 연된 범상 나로라 취지 가자 tudin 취지 작비기 아니 더바 중니다 민도바 중니 시제 도와 더바 중니다 민도바 중니 오 디데게니 제발 찬 송샤스 디지두다.
So we're talking about here about which kind of objects are the cause for us to give rise to anger, or the kind of aspects which appear to us that give rise to anger. And there's an essential division at the beginning between, things in relation to myself, and then things in relation to mine, but in very, very specifically my friends and those who are close to me. And then what are the different aspects that occur in relation to myself and those who are close ones, or friends, relatives, and close ones. So we have the direct sort of direct feeling of a suffering. We have the disrespect, and then the sort of harsh words, and then things which are either unpleasant, or sometimes it's translated as causing us to have, causing our good reputation to be destroyed, depending on the translation. So those are the four aspects. In Stimbacha's text, you can see them. No suffering, disrespect, harsh words, and nothing unpleasant. So those are the four aspects. And in relation to myself and those who are close to me. We don't wish these things to happen, and these are things which cause our mind to be disturbed or upset, and in the process of doing that, that is the cause which will lead us to anger. Now, but there's also another factor, and that is in relation to our enemy, which is the fourth line of Stephen Batchelor's translation, or fourth line of Tibetan, and that is our relationship for our enemy. So actually, in relation to our enemy, we don't want those four aspects to come to ourselves and our friends, but it's the opposite when we take those four aspects in relation to our enemy, and we want the four aspects to befall our enemy. So in Thupten Chökyi Drapa's commentary, there is he actually divides it up into 12 things which are unwanted, and 12 aspects which are unwanted, and 12 aspects which are wanted.
In the commentary of the Gesab Rinpoche in here, he said the conclusion, or to summarize this kind of anchor comes because of 8 worldly concerns. Concerns. So if somehow we every time try to count the 8 worldly concerns one by one, and then check whether you have what is the feeling that right now you are feeling uncomfortable. So if you can identify that this now what I have been feeling uncomfortable is because of from this outwardly concerns. So then I heard that one of the great Kadampa Lama called Geshe Bekongel, before he was a very famous robber, and then he become great practitioner, and then because he used to have so much destructive emotions and familiarized destructive emotions from this life impacts. So at night time, he has this 2 types of stones, black stones and white stones. So then he checked that how his practice is going on. So he says, oh, now this belongs to this kind of 8 worldly concerns. So I put minus on the white. And then he said, oh, this I try to bring antidote towards it. So he gives a point to himself. So slowly, he can see huge change in his life. And then, so at that time, when he become quiet, his mind become quiet, kind of the stable and towards the positive behavior. And then there's a story, I don't know if it's true or not. Then he went to do a kind of a puja, or he was invited to a family's house, and he was offered a meal there. And then he saw so many beautiful things in the house, and then automatically he's from the past the impact. So he felt like I will take this with me. So he tried to take it, and then automatically, because his meditation, all his mind is, or his alertness or his mindfulness is so strong, and then he stops his left arm at the right arm, and he holds like this and says, "Oh, the Bekongye, the great, the robber is here," and he shouts in order to fight his uh, familiarized way, familiarize, familiarize and behavior. So it's a great story, and it is because you most of here who are listening to my broken English class. So so you people have a gifted from the childhood to write everything down on a diary book. So this is a great opportunity here to write everything what you do, something negative and a positive thing, and then check how many good things, bad things the mind, we will not always do bad things in action, but through the mind, there's so many kind of most negative things comes up. And I am not a good practitioner, but time to time, when I have a breakfast with my attendants and my friends, when they talk something, and we go, from the morning we on the breakfast table we start to to gossip, right? To gossip about other people, and then I sometimes tease my attendants, say the kitchen where I eat my breakfast and lunch, at that time they always bring so many news, and then they sometimes get angry and then they shout and I sometimes do so many kind of gossip with them, but mostly I make my kind of a conclusion saying whatever I said to other people, maybe the information is wrong or right, but I don't care, because I'm always against, if this situation is something wrong, I'm against with this behavior, not the person. So I always make this conclusion for myself. So then it makes me very happy then I feel like I'm kind of professional person who can do gossip, but then without much of a kind of the whole day not angry. And when I see the person who the whole time we gossip, we see that person in front of me, I don't feel kind of a gap or the anger towards him or uncomfortable feeling towards him. So that even my practice is very limited, but I do have this feeling. So this is limited, but this I feel like I have this kind of small, tiny quality. So you all have this. It's not only me. So I'm trying to encouraging you. Okay, and the miniature. Okay, done. Dice. Dalle tele dove sos. That division TV Juji. Da Juni the 12 Deve Junis, Shankachung, Dunye Juni Shinduman. Dunye Mabra Yujumi, TV Simchu Temple News. That dinner or 12, please.
The causes of happiness sometimes occur, but the causes for suffering are very many. Without suffering, there is no renunciation. Therefore, mind, you should stand firm.
Now, if we look at the outline for this, that is what the later. Meditating on the patience that tolerance suffering. 동의에 당랭기 셔봤 들베 더봐. 동의에 당 들베 tolerance 디나로라 당랭세디 요르베.
단달랑에서는 되게 tolerate 고 가부 임발한 난주 저 투버도 시티 고여래요. So yeah, being tolerate, yeah.
Okay.
Put up with 난주 이게 not put up with tolerate or put up with.
Okay. tolerate잖아. 당도 렌토바. Okay. You can't tell. It's a kind of a for beginners, we might feel, why should I have to tolerate the suffering? That's the reason why so many people, like in the West, is every people. That's the one kind of a reason that when we one of the biggest obstacle that we cannot get the generate the great compassion or improve our compassion, because we don't have this kind of patience. Here, the one general reason that Shantideva is trying to give to us is there is no way that did it work? Dutchland Chiglabocha. He left us much. Division and got to Dunyan Shinduma. Dunyan Tangling Suba Mashi Ranchi is Courage, and Devi good Dubia, Dewagi Dukoran Dubiati, and so Kumbushivichi. Devi good that chair the Kumbushivichi. Dunyan chair good pepang, drinking it, good if is. 제장가 다 먹는 쇼브레 다 베나 대화 동의 잘라 대화 찍지 마도 매선 그렇지 그 정보 쉬지리 다디 디삼도 당도스 동의 자유는 디나로 대화 춘주 찍 마도 매지 베나 란주 다처럼 저는 디줄다는 게 인지 날 찍라고요.
So she says that when we're talking about the when we're talking about the practice of patience, which almost is happily undertakes happily is able to happily undergo suffering. What we're talking about here in this verse is that the causes which lead us to happiness, or the virtuous causes which lead us to happiness within ourselves are very rare, and there's like a queue of negative causes or bad causes giving result to unhappiness, which are just waiting to arise. So if we did a sort of percentage, then out of 100 negative actions which would giving rise to, which would waiting to give rise to suffering, a result of suffering, only one tiny good virtuous action giving rise to happiness would be there. Rinpoche did it. Dante Lama the this Madara, it means like willingly undertaking suffering. Yeah,
willingly said tolerance love na seba chigu rubjiredwa
yeah.
tomato sech tadip na willingly said go gijure are chechanga for let me bring an example. Eating delicious food, for that that time of the period, the happiness is very little. For 1 hour, and maybe the English people, the most Westerners, they eat very slowly and talk a lot, and then chew a lot. Maybe the time a little bit more, but then once you consume the food, and then it's more like we eat so many things that we not really healthy due to our kind of pleasure. We eat unhealthy for sure, and then we have to suffer a lot, right? Even the food itself. Bring any kind of samsara pleasure. Begins with the pleasure, but mostly, maybe 99%, ends up in a kind of a suffering. So for that reason, maybe we don't need to these two words, the causes of the happiness sometimes occur, but the causes for the suffering are very many. These the two words, if we think, we don't need to look at past and future life. In this life, nobody wants a kind of a relation that becomes the suffering for both the person, but somehow it becomes very difficult. Any kind of relation we talk, there's an ups and downs and ups and downs. So whenever there is a down, that means that there is an up before. So that up is the little happiness, the down is like the suffering there always there. So dependent, interdependent. So it's not like the up is there and no, there's no down. So for that reason, we can say that whatever kind of a samsaric kind of a virtue or pleasure, we can indirectly we can say we are creating suffering. We can say we are creating suffering very happily. For that reason, Shantideva is saying there is no kind of escaping from the situation, because the dikchana lamna yagodo tanda tangbodi sije tangbuni delya ane harajugi dungyawa seti harajugi namju tanda dungyen dimbi chechus gyubegi ane mita dungye seti dungyawa seti koade jara dungyawa yindes ane 가르치는스나 레뉴기 샤 레다 뉴미기 샤하로 와서 라요 말 레다 뉴미기 샤하를 세티 레뉴 샤한진비 즉시 땅저 dum쟁구기 봐 오디 삼로 땅에 최도 다 알아주게 대외기 규디 하람 알아주기 따지 저기 최 마신이 지겠다 하람 두 마신이 최시대 하고 년되게 룸모토 bakanya 용한데야지 들어와 런드 더 최바 인신이들 깔리십주 어버다디 데이드 다디 나로네 아니 라과도 레다 녀몽기 샤마마 임부지 레다 녀몽 카텔을 두닝기 개와데 다 하람 아주 두투르 투고 말해서 얘기 아주 다 저와 잡서선 로지 디레시 차데도 왔어 어디 질랍도 잖아
the kariti the kariti the gewo trouble listen chang the the gewo trouble sikji kaza shloka takjo the gune ani nan su the kari gewe gu se the tuk kabudos and chopa maybe yena tuk kabudos did you
당분이도 쓰기 왜
당분이네 맨은 니베 the shu takjo all the konda na yaboko maso 두뇌와 인데 레는 시험.
레다뇽. 네.
디올라?
레뇽이 샤만. 레뇽이 샤만지레스. 다 레뇽 샤만지 인도 점be 마란주기. 아니 레다뇽몽기 샤만 마잉잉기 아주기 개외 자와직 아주 두바디 아주 라와제 소선도. 최바직을 마도니 somebody 깨요 말에. 최바 다 최바직이 임베 온도 담바이나야 레다 뇽몽기 샤완 마임비기 개와직 마란주고 두비아티 다 하람 지 투그르베세기 아주 계절도 지단다 차득이 요르바 디스요
So in the first two lines of this verse where it mentions the causes of happiness sometimes occur no the causes of happiness sometimes occur but the causes for suffering are very many. When we talk about this suffering, we're specifically talking about the suffering, which when we talk about the 16 aspects of the Four Noble Truths, and then very specifically the 4 aspects of suffering, and then it's impermanence, and there's impermanence, suffering. So in the 4 aspects of the truth of suffering, what are we talking about here? What is the reason that's given for why it is suffering? So we sort of say, we take the subject, say for instance the person or the aggregates or the world or whatever. That subject is suffering. This is the reason that's given in the text. The reason is suffering because it's under the control of karma and karmic action and delusion, and that's the syllogism that is given. So for this reason, so this is so let's say the aggregates are suffering because they are created by karmic action and delusion, and they're powered by karmic action and delusion. So if we think about this reason, then if we weren't a Dharma practitioner at all, there would be no way to think about anything about how to have some sort of positive karma that wasn't powered by karma and delusion. Even if we were a Dharma practitioner, it's hard to imagine. Even if you're a Dharma practitioner, it's even hard as a Dharma practitioner to imagine how could we create a kind of positive virtue that was not at some point powered by karma and delusion. So even that is so Rinpoche says it's kind of like a question or a conversation about what kind of virtuous action could we create that was not powered by karma and delusion, even for the Dharma practitioners. The other people wouldn't even think about this, but the Dharma practitioners would have to think about this.
Okay. So the first 2 words, think about most of our, and we can say every kind of the virtues, the action, or whatever we do positively, it's kind of the influenced by the force of the delusion, right?
Yeah.
So for that reason, even with our positive actions, we got this human body. The best of the best, the result is the precious human life. We got this precious human life from our positive karma. But now see, with the positive, the body, with most important, this brain, the intelligence that we have, that also comes from our past karma, the positive karma. But see, it's really difficult to control or to overcome the negative reflections. So, and then mostly the attachment is kind of like a 24-hour, almost there with you. Eating, sleeping, drinking, talking, mostly is kind of like, even you feel saying I'm lonely, then means like there's a strong attachment there. And even you say, oh, I'm a kind of hungry, then the attachment is already there. So it's most like, yeah, you are being followed. It's creepy.
Talks.
It's creepy. Oh, just kidding. So think like this, and then you can see even now the hope. I'm not here to discourage you. I'm here to encourage you. So that means my first task is to talk about the suffering or talk about what is bad. So in Tibetan we have a saying, if somebody loves you very dearly, then his speech or his advice is not very not
Sound very. It sounds harsh or unpleasant. It's not
unpleasant. His advice is unpleasant. So, like saying this. So, when I say something like this, maybe you feel like, then what now, right? So whatever I do positive things, so even that also leads you into kind of a suffering. So what is our hope now? So for that reason, devoted with her. Now then, I don't need to encourage you, because the Shantideva himself wrote that for us. So now let's see the Dungye Mebra Ninjung Me Tewe Simchu Temperne, the 12, the without suffering there is no renunciation. Therefore, mind. I'm saying mind. You should stand firm, sir. Firm. Tempo sir, firm. Now it's talking about we don't have a renunciation yet. but here it says we have to the benefit of having this kind of willingly and
Undertaking
undertaking the
hardship.
willingly
undertaking suffering.
The willingly undertaking suffering. The purpose of the willingly taking suffering is because I have seen through this way only I can generate the renunciation. 동해 당도는 besaba ta jirangal dian inji thoni jiggyurochida 제장가 당보디기 동행기 동해 나로네 캬바도지 동해 세 딜이야 고아지 때 디기 쇼들이야 아니 레벤기 레벤 쳔부라니기 가르송송스나 다 동해디 당도 렌치 동해디 당도 렌치 아니 델이야 서버치니 아니 셈바 템부치니 대 마토비나 아니 말죠 민중세디 깨토 말이스 민중세니디 가르레스나 동이 델 동이기 정신지 코와 코베기 최레스나 코베 최레스나 동이 계약이 최세디 코도비치 코베 뒤비 최레라나 동이기 땡치니 최레 세지 코토가 정부이나 아니 셈디기 감상코랑 오 니에 단다 지셔줘기 여와대야 마음벌 동행기 땡치에 차루도 밀루 개와지 랑베이나야 밀루디 개와람보다 야고시다레 레 개웨 방벌에 이나야 밀루디 디디 밀루디 마음벌이야 동행망부 개벌집이 땡시하그 가르친스나 니에 단다 사이에 레디 라다 뉴명 샤마레 다 레다 뉴몽기 샤마라 만도니 카테 쳐야디 당하는 인중시키고 그래도 다디 어쨌든 다디 인중 송고에 내가 될 투다 투데 봐
So first of all, when we're talking about suffering here, then we're talking very specifically about the all-pervasive conditioned suffering, not just talking about regular suffering. And so when we talk about so that's what's said in when we talk about the four aspects of the noble truth of suffering, the impermanent suffering, that one we're talking about pervasive conditioned suffering. And so and when we talk about that suffering in relation to practicing the willingly undertaking the practice of patience, which willingly undertakes that suffering, that this is what we're talking about it in relation to. So if we cannot have in relation to this all pervasive conditioned suffering, if we're not able to stay if our mind is not able to stay firmly in the face of that suffering, then there's no way that we will be able to generate renunciation. So sometimes it's said that the samsara is in the nature of suffering, and actually one way to think about we talk about all samsaric phenomena as being in the nature of suffering, and another way to think of it in relation to that is that all samsaric phenomena are always the cause or the basis for suffering. So that's that's another way of almost sort of not giving the definition, but giving an explanation of samsara or samsaric phenomena. So so if we imagine that if all of our actions are basically underpinned by karma and delusion, then if all of our actions are underpinned by karma and delusion, then we start to think about how all of the virtuous actions which have helped us, for instance, to give rise to in the samsaric terms a positive rebirth, and in particular the precious human rebirth, then even if these virtuous actions which helped us to got that are still underpinned by karma and delusion, and so therefore they will still be a basis for a basis or a support for continued suffering in the future. And then if we think on that point, then we start to thinking about these points together, we start to imagine, we start to identify those things, and then we start to be able to generate the mind of renunciation. So right, yeah, Rinpoche. So when we become clear about that situation, sorry, I've written something, but I can't read my own writing. So when we become clear about those points, then based on those points about identifying the nature of suffering and how our virtuous actions are underpinned by karma and delusion, we can start to see a way out of that problem, and that's how we would come to the mind of renunciation.
So any kind of difficult situation we get into, then we have to hold this opportunity, and then before giving up it, you have to think the first ordinary way of thinking. I feel so miserable, or I feel so lost, and now or if you feel angry, then more like, how can this happen to me? Why he's saying this to me? Or so on. But then now, at the moment when you have a calm yourself down a little bit, and then have to think about, as I'm a practitioner, and here I call myself as a practitioner because now I have to overcome this problem. If I cannot overcome this problem, or even I can take this little pain, I call this little because many people in this world, some bigger things are happening. They without any knowledge about Buddhism or religion background, they face with their way of thinking. But for me, I have kind of tips and then a guidance of Shantideva, and then His Holiness Dalai Lama's teaching, and wonderful teachings, the lineage from the Buddha himself. So now here, and I am always saying, I'm not doing only this for practice of this life only, but until the fully enlightenment, and so on. Because my ambition or the aim is for such a long term. So I can never give up like this. Then bring this kind of encouragement in your life, and think. And my teacher always says, some of the situations in the samsara, you feel lost or you feel so attached, you have to try to climb on the top of the mountain and see the situation down there, and you can see, oh boy, look, now I call myself a Rinpoche, but now I cannot face this situation. What kind of Rinpoche I am? So you also can think, at the time when you practice, you can think, I'm a Rinpoche too. You are precious women, so precious. or you all have to be, that time you also can feel, when, because we have this kind of the Sattva, wow. So you are far much better than me. You are like having the commitment to serve all the sentient beings. With this commitment, you can feel like I'm a Rinpoche. So the precious one, I am the precious one. And I got this opportunity to become precious in front of His Holiness Dalai Lama. So how can I give up? If I give up, I'm giving up on His Holiness Dalai Lama. I couldn't do this. So then slowly you try to calm a little bit down, and then you can think about the renunciation. Otherwise, if you don't take it slowly, automatically you think about the renunciation. It's very difficult for us. You might fail. So slowly, take it slowly. And then, as one of my friend, he always take his enemy's picture in his pocket, and then I always love to check his wallet, because I can see like see who's his new enemy. And I always think, oh, you are taking a boyfriend's picture in your wallet. So he has all these pictures, So he's a very good practitioner. He's a layperson. So I love the way he, in front of the picture, and I told him that when you do practice of patience, if you bring the picture of your guru, it's okay. It makes sense, but it will make more sense if you bring the photo of your enemy. Then he loved that idea, and then these days also, I love to check his pocket. And then I also remember the story about the what we call the Adisha. Adisha, when he always, wherever he goes, he will bring his annoying student or the friend. So everybody gets so what we sumbuchawa, annoying, feel irritated. They feel irritated, and then they always complain, Adisha, why did you bring this friend at first place? So they're saying, wow, right now, what kind of the qualities I have with me. So half of it, the credit goes to this wonderful person. So that means even Adisha is practicing the practice of what we call tolerating the meditating on the patience that tolerates suffering. Willingly tolerate the suffering. And so that's very important. So now then the verse number 13. Kato Tedang and Kanapa Sekta Jesu Torwani Teme Soche Tarwai Tendo Dago Chichi Dar 13, please.
If some ascetics and the people of Karnapa endure the pain of cuts and burns for no reason, then for the sake of liberation, why have I no courage?
So this is debate. So Shantideva, that's why His Holiness loves Shantideva's work very much, because now here Shantideva uses the logic that we say okay, the liberation is too far. Okay, the liberation is too far for me, and then it's too hard for me to think like this, and then I cannot tolerance this kind of suffering. Tolerate this kind of suffering. Oh, my English is getting better now. So, and then Shantideva is trying to ask that person who is feel like saying, I cannot tolerate. So Shantideva said, but I have seen so many people who waste their energy, who have such a tolerance towards negative things, and they have so much tolerance towards like the ribe jiran gyuro chida kanje dungye tang to lempa la ya ani soba cheba de ani jige ta taba tobya ta ani dungye tang to lempa ina ani tene jigi ninjung ge gi ani tabdu slabe na ta ninjung ge de tarang bu shibuji ge jare tinga tarang bu den ri tinga so tu sa mare dinge nga so to mi dus slabe na ani jigin dinala 아니 지기 단다 빼도 손도와 가독세 디차나치년 규다 디규다 다게 용도다
Oh, when we talk about the practice of patience, which is willing to undertake suffering, and we talk about that as a method of renunciation, which will help lead us to the result of liberation, then we may feel that we're you know, when we may feel that the difficulties and suffering that we may tolerate is just it's just this kind of conversation is just too far away from our experience, and that we're not able to tolerate that kind of the suffering that is involved. And then, but Rinpoche says, but then in this world, there are examples which Shantideva is going to bring.
Pechik di diredwa pena kadoba seti kadoba sedu diredwa lawonju da law chiru da chiru motivo zogi 아니 라바도 힌두 슈나 롤라야 아니 원주 거두 냐면 요 말이스 그봐 거두 쓰다 거두 그봐 거두 어디 거두 냐면 요 말이스 이나야 거두 냐베기 뒤지 가르스나 아니 라모 우마를 뒤지에 원주 틀 더비나 아니 원주기 그것도 냠르고 요레스. 그봐?
원주기 카투
그것도 냠르고 요레스. 딱 그것도 쓰는 딱곰 대담네 되지. 배나 원주기 딱 지금 아주 마선에 곰 잡체도 수직이 네버게 두고 말이스. 따이네 한번 우마 패브 까버야. 아니 한번 우마 패디니 정신이고 곰고 네버 냠르고 요레스. 대코라서 들려보도와 대용도 잠배 메츠게 다 운추 레장 아니 한번 우마 검샤베이나 아니 아주마선에 야도 시시야 아주마선에 운추 레장 야다 한번 우마를 대지 한번 우마를 대네 아니 그것도 두배지 송구 유서와
네. So one of the examples is in relation to performing 나요 말했어요. 디래.
저도 지난데 셰 당겨로 거 사니. 싱싱. 거의 깨치 고마서.
원축기 cultivate 나요 말했어요. 힌주 치료받은 저기. 원축
원축기
요 말했어. 이네 우메 원축기 우메 트네.
우마스네 김에르바 그런 거 충만들 봐.
알레오레레레.
근데 충만이 시기 있어라 그런 또 Power of women. Yeah, the jury.
So no, that's it. So when she was talking about that, so we can't tolerate the suffering. We feel we can't tolerate the suffering, but in this world, the example that Shantideva brings here is in terms of Ishvara and Ishvara's consort. I think it is called Uma. So it says that in terms of directly in terms of Ishvara, the aesthetic practices cannot be they can't be they cannot be sort of
disturbed.
Yeah, in terms of Ishvara, the aesthetic practices can't be disturbed, but in relation to the sort of emanation of his consort Uma, it is said that people's aesthetic practices or their meditation, and this is said in so obviously not in the Hindu tradition, this is in the outsider's view or the Hindu tradition, that the emanation of Uma, as it's called, is able to disturb the ascetic practices and meditation of practitioners. So
why this is an example of that in this world we can see so much people with the respect saying wasting so much time is like the people have so much great faith in Lord Shiva. So that Lord Shiva does his meditation power is so strong, but when somebody not the actual Uma, his consort, somebody if emanate to it.
Yeah, an emanation
of her comes in front of him. Somehow his the meditation becomes disturbed. So for that reason, many people who have so much faith in Shiva, and then they felt like, oh, Uma, if we meditate on Uma, is much better. So they change, like for many years they are see their Lord Shiva as the greatest one, and then secondly, when they found this kind of information, then they changed certainly the object of meditation into the Uma. So slowly they changing. So they kind of kanye mangbu yor bata odi dungen thangnen de la gurta da kanye mangbu yena ya ani dikhe du se che ta migden je bo loya de yongudus chik migden je bo loya kom jamne dus de de ta unchu migba la sha che tine kom jab de unchu khona tempo re me dus kajen sana thamo uma yungdu ani khorang ka du nyam tu du se de 다 디하고네 니야 신에 하모 우말 미니야 신에 즉 검잡지 깔레잡에 데 통야도스 디 오디레 가서래 치료벌 따서 담선 부지래 단이버디 개치슈리 이버디 가르스나 아니 제가 파주 증제 단체 다 단다 까나바스 말베 까나바 룸바 조임베이나 Quran zu lungbo go le gojang gare go gang ming khare kya ma kya to la ku di ngajo family gi ming kya go yu konju family ming kya na dig ma res di thon dal ani be so Quran le tang chi nga di thon dal shi gu chung na ya nga ani ta chi den chi gmes a ri chi gmes wo den de gi ani so le tang ya de gi ani ta chung ji gi thon da la 아니 까니 망보지기 동년체의 친구도 우스 느티지교다.
So in terms of what we were talking about with Shiva, Ishvara, or Shiva and Uma, then so one of the things that so Shantideva is debating with the Hindu sort of system and practitioners here, or giving examples from their system and saying, well, you know, then they're even willing to the followers are even willing to to give up their in terms of Shiva, they're willing to change the object of their meditation from, say, Shiva to Uma, because and that Jimson is Ramason that Jimson cousin big lobby Jimson karede konso wonchu le Uma gi lobby
원추 레장타 우마야 요서레스 가전스나 원추 그것도 냠버 제투니 누바디 안 우마리샤 슬랍도타 단다파도 원추 리템비 시네 마소네 곰로 잡데데 상와 샤체 딱가와 드조스 그딜 오늘 저는 아주 딱 단다파도 깔리 디 잡사레스 제제 냐르디그와 디레 매버 제제다 드조 개요마스 땅아 탐 우마갈라님 미 곰잡이 슬랍 도스도디니 요레스.
So they sort of they're willing to take up the suffering and difficulties of sitting from first of all they would kind of be meditating or doing ascetic practices in relation to Shiva, but then it's the Shiva in relation to Shiva. It's said that Uma is sort of more destructive in terms of her more able to disturb the meditative practices than Shiva. Dira. So Nyamba Yubasana succere.
The first one is forget about it. The thing about the second one. Explain about the second one is much better.
So the main point of the first one, because I can't understand why if they're
it's complicated. Yes. So the second one.
Why are they switching to her? I don't understand that. So why?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Rinpoche is saying that the main thing is that they are quite willing to give up one meditative object and switch to, and the difficulties involved with switching to another one and another set of ascetic practices because of this belief. So I can't get why they have that belief.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they're willing to do that. The second example is that is particularly in terms of non-Buddhist practitioners living in an area called Karna, and they were willing to arguing about family. They were arguing about name and the names of nangmigi nang mingdigi dene cause so they would argue and fight about the family names, and they would be quarrel and fight amongst each other, and they would be prepared to give up they would be prepared to give up all of their practices and even to give up their lives for these kind of arguments. So what the moral of this tale is that people are in relation to small tiny things, people are willing to undergo tremendous hardship. So Shantideva is saying, look at what these people are doing, even for a small which are considered in tiny, not important points. They're willing to undergo, even to give up their lives or to cut and burn themselves for all of this. But so look at think about this. Giving up, even for small things, they will be willingly undergo so much hardship.
The first one is a little bit complicated, so let's forget about this. The second one, now we don't need to look far away towards the story of Kanapa, but if we look at the current world situation, all these fightings and somehow so many soldiers now in India and China having conflict and all this, and then all this the pandemic situation. And if we look at it, so why did somebody eat bad, or maybe why did they made some this kind of kasa
Bioterrorism or biological weapon.
biological weapon. So that is same as they wanted to make atomic bomb. And nuclear power, the weapon. So all this reason is to reason is same, because we want our country to be strong. Our nation is the first one. So for that reason, all this manners, because me is important. That's it, right? So then through that, many people has to suffer. And then so many kind of some very sincere soldiers. So in India now, they are sending so many messages. Indian armies are sending messages saying, now we are going to, the India government very kind to us. So now we're ready to give our life for our nation. Oh, ready to fight. And then I have seen like 2 or 3 Tibetans also making kind of saying, we are ready to fight towards China. We are willing to give our life for our Tibet and revenge and so on, so on. So what Shantideva is trying to say is they can do this, okay? They can give the person so precious, their most precious thing is the life. So if in order to take revenge, in order to save your ego, or to make yourself happy, if you can give up your own life, so then why you cannot give your life and effort towards liberation for the ultimate happiness? So Shantideva is trying to refute that people have a like kind of, oh, it's difficult, I can't do it, this kind of a laziness talk. So the verse number 13 is something like that. 제가 딱 그런 둘도 주송쇼아 건조 고투도 시 제가 당보디기 동료당에 제나 아니 캡상 타바당 탐지 캠베 고반도 요레스 랍 아니 나야 보루보루리야 셈 shum바다 까니 shum바다 데제가라 딱 하고 싶지도 제도사 말레스 랍디 아니 제모도바 가르레 안 하고 싶지도 하고 디나 걔랑 제모도 인고그룹 베스 인고그레스 타제 또 타제비나 아니 미 전부링 디나라스 소소 소레 자체 수직리 자체 소드레스 이나야 소디 계급부터 소르바 아니 된다 매베기 아니 쳇도 마고지 소르 당니 루도아스 디줄 때비나 저랑게 단다 얘기 지금 소르 투기 계지 시기요 말스 땐도 되게 계지 시기요 말스 내가 된지를 쇠마도 가르레스라나 아니 셈나노라 신기 당에 타릉부 땐도 대화기 두에게 탑시지는 얘들이 지금 쇠마토버디 아니 내리 로제 총 셈 대충 로제 어디 충잡이 견례샤 섬에 셈나 딜레토베디 다 쇠토베치도 단다 쇼로가 다 조선보다 송도와.
So if we sort of were to summarize what this 13th verse is talking about, we, you know, the practice of the practice of patience, which is willing to undergo suffering, is something which helps us to lead us on the path to liberation and complete enlightenment. But you know, there are times when you know we feel not able to undergo that suffering willingly or easily, and our mind may become, you know, disheartened and discouraged. But at this point, then we should think to ourselves, what is it that I am not able to withstand? What is it that I'm thinking is too difficult for me to do? Because we're talking about in terms of a huge result, you know, a huge a meaningful result of liberation and complete enlightenment. So looking at what is it that I'm not able to withstand about this, and then if we were to look into this world as it is these days, we you know, we would normally our life is considered the most important thing, right? You know, this is people's lives are considered the most important thing, and people will give up their lives for their country or for even much smaller things of much smaller meaning than our country. And so we can see this in the world itself, that people are, you know, willing to even give up their lives for these things. So what is it that we are really what is it that is really preventing, and what is it that we really feel so difficult to when we look at those kind of situations? What is it that is so difficult for us to not tolerate? Or and if we're thinking sort of in a sort of more long-term and sort of this, so what the main problem is that our mind is too the scope of our mind is just too small. We're thinking in a very small-minded way, and if we were to able to think in a much vaster or broad-minded way, then that would help us to be able to understand that it's worth willingly undertaking the suffering for a much bigger reason.
아제 심슈 차야데 당진기 레기요레 아니 심슈 차야데 당진기 온게 체용기요레 다 당진데로 고급고라만 잡지 당진기 추줌진기 위협서로 지르바 당에 체투서 말디 베 탐다 탐제 gembe 고반스니데 타르부 시비지 계절에 때 루규 연나메나 하람 카고레세 심슈 짜야데 당진기 온게 레기요레 다디 메버스야 심슈 디 빠야 동네 당도 런제니 체마도 가려요레 니디 체투 그랬어 어디 다 리베 고토마네 아니 삼로단치데 니 체마도 요마레스 데 디스에 드리샤다
카를 타마디기 카데 체마 투베디기
다 제투고 말했어야지 당진기 온게래 다 제투그레스 디 제투고에기 듬젠다라 아니 리버다 메드케치 아니 미싱기 딘데체가 통도 니에 가르친 제투 말에 중중지기 된다를 메조 딘데기 네버 땅투도 니에 첨부지기 된다를 니 가르치는 제투 말에 세제 안 심슈 소소 버려야 됐다 럽낭도가 디 가서 Shantideva 당아들 시비지 듣는 것도 와.
So here Shantideva is giving us reasons. He's explaining that we have a higher purpose or a bigger purpose of say liberation and enlightenment, and he's giving us reasons why we should be able to willingly undertake the hardship. When our courage to proceed with these when difficulties arise, when our courage weakens or when our courage weakens, what is behind that? What's causing our courage to weaken? And actually, what's happening is, when we think, oh, it's too far away, I don't have the strength. Is that really possible or not possible? And what's actually behind all of that is the grasping at grasping at an inherently existent self, which is kind of feeding us reasons and causing our courage to lam trupa the called simshuk the jaya there lam trupala Quran. Proceeding on the path and all of the difficulties that come with that. When we're practicing, when we're practicing and difficulties arise, it's the mind grasping at the inherent existence of self, which is feeding us with all these reasons why it's too difficult. So we need to, we need to sort of find some way of giving ourselves courage, or to build up our courage, that it's possible to do the practice, to engage in the practices properly. And so what Shantideva is doing here is, supplying us with, reasons such as he's given here, whereby people are prepared to give up a huge cost for things which are relatively meaningless. And whereas we, so he's saying that, people do that, they're willing to give up their lives even for fairly small reasons. We're trying to practice on doing practice which will lead to liberation and enlightenment, and therefore, which is such a big reason or result, and therefore he's trying to instill in us courage that we can willingly undertake suffering on the path.
Well, also, so now we stop here today, and then looks like now this Italian group teaching will be starting from July 1st. So it's almost here now. 3-4 days to what? Only 3-4 days left. So during that time, I will be a little bit occupied because I have some other things to do. But let me check with my schedule, and then time to time I will talk with my group, and then make the announcement when we can meet for Shantideva. Okay. So,
There's 2 extra questions that we haven't answered. Once merit is destroyed with anger, can that merit be restored in any way? For example, with dedication. Sonam giso yeshi giso karanj jombina, and it's sonam giso then yeshi giso digi, or sonam giso digi, koi anger suju che pena nansu nyamnin chene susu nuba chebina, tamadigi nu chebina, nuba chebina.
Sonam choslabre.
Do an sonam matam dus merit.
Okay.
Merit. Yeah.
The merit which is dedicated, right? Dedicated.
Can you restore it? Can you? Jombe sonam digi ya so yurbes pena nanzu nu dedication chena so yurbe ya so yur.
That the laya tang azom your mare singing mangoto. There is so many in Tibetan Church was commentary. Maybe Kiran di Tonai ne na Kiran Dipuru de thoughts Jurji Tation Tigruba. In the Tibetan Church was a commentary. There if ordinary being who is not on the path, ordinary being to ordinary being, if anger towards that your friend, Dharma friend, so it destroys your virtue or the merit, then for that kind of damaging, three types of damaging, the jumba del sum, chenpoche, chunguchi, ding, mare, chenpo, ding, chungu. Chenpo jumba di, sabin, tendu kye me so che. Right? Then ding de la ya, ani, jigi, dirisha. 다 컨테스트 주변에 세부 테마서 디키란 니 키란 단도 빠르게 땅네 디그르바 키란 주를 디시템 디그르 딩디 페진 아주 마선에다 지게 똑바르지 제이나 똑바지 제이나 단인지 정보지 줄게 임베나 아니 인지 정보디 다지게 도슬라메 디그 체 딜게 마토 봤죠 봐 다 양 콘로 직제제 디 중화들이다 중원 콘로고 네버 코란 지중요자 콘로 네버 아니 중화디기 아니 지기 선이기의 니지 신부들이나 다 되네 바로 중요 조섬진 조사들전 시우 제네니 신에 야 계지 다른 도로드나 좀 차주디 기주 여러 말했으나 패진다 딜랑 아주 세부지 레인 민도 과시 여 말해서 과시 여스 다 개치슈 가르스나 다 쳐버디 가르래 사변 다가랑 냠바디 끼기 유명 개체도 매비지 가리 이내 매나 아니 사변 좀비기 디기 아니 따지기 드부지야디 다 타르는 땅바데 다 쳐버렸다 노디처럼 찍었어
니버디기 있으면 그냥 닌지기나
닌지 체들게이나 체들 가수 네 체들 가수 지타기 전에 체들이 게임이었지 답변 개와 수지
중국디기 디든 체버가요 중국디기 양치다
중국디기 체다가랑라 딩기디기 체치마라 로아 okay
yeah. So Rinpoche is talking about the ways in which virtue is the strengths of virtue of destroying virtue, and it is divided up into a small destructive effect, a medium destructive effect, and a great destructive effect. So so probably in terms of the strength of anger and. So, for instance, if there's destruction of the anger, the greatest destruction of the anger will be that the seed of the positive virtue itself will be completely destroyed from its root. Okay, the middling one will be, for instance, that if we were going to, if we were going to be developing positive qualities of the path or of practice such as compassion, then and that we were going to be able to we were going to be able to develop them in this life, then the effects of the destruction will be of the negative effects will be that it will be delayed and pushed off into the next life or future lives. If a smaller kind of destruction power of destructive activity, and then for instance, it will be delayed. So, for instance, it might, if we were going to give rise to, let's say, great compassion, or let's say great compassion, it would be delayed and not, it would happen in this life, but it would be pushed back even further. So so when we talk about, if you're saying, the question is the karmic seed, the virtuous karmic seed completely destroyed, destroyed or not? That's a very difficult question to answer, because there are lots of, and lots of scholars argue about this. Some say that the karmic seeds are completely destroyed. Some say they're not. But one thing is for sure that we can definitely say, that the results, or the positive results from our virtuous activity, are definitely going to be, sort of delayed, or that's for sure. That's one thing that we can definitely decide straight away, that they're always going to be, what's the word? delayed or pushed back by the force of the anger. Did the touch to the deal? Young or so the result that come from the virtuous activities will definitely be pushed away into the future by our anger, and that's something we can definitely be decisive about.
If I give an example saying the karmic relations, the karmic relation with the power of potential is a very trouble that no chavi mishiba se chur tang ju shibu je chabu yinza mashe telya no chavi mishiba yukewe mishiba manguyo ba de no shibu chabu chechi tang ju mashimbe jungu yor ba perna chashabi na marba tang ani kasa mama re marba tang naruba nyingi paruli ya ani jigi tamzik rodan telya ani kedo jigi chor nangdu ani lama trin lama tamen number chen chue ning gi ba an lama kedo je number chen chue ning gi ba chi choji tan ndu ani marba gi ta namsha jundu lama tamen be jeje ber ta kedo je number tembe na an peje des ya yu konche ni kedo je number ten soro na su de temde jik chu bre sungu wa
going to chicks on anti the lama pan ropati lama kali
de lopada naropani dinge didenge injinan lago ding injinan lago so the about the story of you it's a famous one, so maybe you all know about that. Marba and Naropa, when Naropa asked Marba that today I'm going to give you kasa kedoji hey wachra kedoji hey wachra initiation. So do you want to receive from me being as an ordinary person to give the empowerment, or you want to me to to arise as a hey wachra himself and give him the initiation. So then Marpa thought like, well, normally I see my guru as ordinary every time. Now maybe I will get a great opportunity if I can see him as the master of the mandala and give the initiation. So he requested, today I want to receive you as a He Vajra himself and receive it. So then later initiation finished. Then Naropa said, Temdechik Masamba. How do you say that?
There was one sort of auspicious thing that was not that wasn't complete in this process.
Some unauspicious thing happened. See? So if this kind of slightly little mistake is mistaken in this kind of Naropa and Marba, these high beings inside that kind of a small thing, and then Marba Naropa said, in this life, for you cannot get the fully enlightenment, but you will get a student who will get the fully enlightenment in this lifetime. So the karma that is, can we say, tricky, or it's not like
very subtle.
Very subtle, right?
You said before that, I'll just translate this bit you said before. So Rinpoche is saying that in terms of the karmic seeds, and this is an extremely subtle sort of object, and we talk about the sort of, I think it's the Mishebashi, the four not knowings of things about the object. That it's almost like an obscuration to be able to see very subtle phenomena, either at distance or for various other reasons. And you know, the karmic seeds is one of these. That it's a very subtle object that it's very hard to understand and know the complete details of very clear.
제장가 다 단대 뒤 라고에 좀 전티로 봐. 디 임베이나 아니 아주 콘로 초심 고르 심 나로라 답에 모롱아 답 아주 답 묘모 도숨 나누네다 슈 체슈 데이터 콘로 지요레 콘로 디기 아니 아주 단다 디 류규델랑 아주 어디 이치기 유나스게다 류규델 이치기 유나 아니 아주 콘로 지기 다 미니 버를 자와디 축치부지 매버서 두고 여바디 거로쳐 바티기로 받아.
So if we're talking about this, you know, this in the story of Marpa, or was it Marpa and Naropa, and the very subtle, you know, that was the story is about this Samaya bond between the two of them. And if we have, you know, if we have faith that this story were true, and if we can imagine, you know, that the cause was that Naropa's enlightenment was delayed, and that was just from a tiny sort of, you know, a slightly inauspicious cause, then imagine what the situation for us is. For us, if we, you know, where we're dominated by the three poisons, and out of the three poisons, the anger being the strongest of those three poisons, and then it's very easy to imagine that one moment, you know, anger comes up in us so often, and it's so easy to imagine that one moment of our anger could cause the relation, you know, our relations to that other person to be, you know, really damaged and destroyed. If we're talking about the very subtle phenomena, the very subtle thing that happened in the Samaya story, imagine what it's like for us with our such strong instances of anger.
So, I request you all try not to be angry. Controlled. So you can say, control yourself. And so then you can save yourself from this. So anyway, try your best. It's not an easy task because we are so familiarized with this negative emotion, but we shouldn't give up. We give up in this life, and then we are giving up another eons and eons and eons. Then, so for that reason, we don't know how long we're gonna live, but at just for a few seconds, we feel like I will never surrender towards anger and negative emotions. So that's a very kind of a great kind of a commitment that we are doing, even we cannot do, but this is a great start. Okay, so
그리고 take ninji sumgyukor.
Oh, I think about the three compassion. The person who asked, I already kind of given answer, but the most important now it's if you can make the relation tanda Tiringi Junjugi verse number tirwa di chasunga Jungni di. If you can think about the verse number 12 today, then you can see why great the third compassion seeing the liberation. You can buy the liberation by having the willingly taking the tolerance
and taking suffering.
Then you can understand why third compassion becomes the most necessary here. Okay, this is your homework. You think about it, and if it's not clear, you can send a message, and then I will try to reply you by my friend Simon and other friends. So I will try my best to answer you. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. The dedication, because maybe for a little time we won't have a time to meet between this. So okay, so whatever we have accumulated merit, we dedicate this merit to receive teachings, to have more listening to the teachings, more reading the Shantideva's text and the other texts. May we can apply this kind of merit in order to face the ignorance mind, and then anger at this moment, anger. And then for example, like me, I cannot stand myself alone to face this. So I always need a guidance from my guru, and then my Dharma friends, and from all the sentient beings. So for that reason, we pray that the guru, our His Holiness Dalai Lama, and then other individually whomever you have as your guru, so they live long and then guide us, and then so then we can use our energy to abandon the distorted emotion, and then once we feel that we can really overcome this problem or the situation, then may we instantly share this knowledge with the other sentient beings. So then so this kind of the wish is not other than the great compassion. So may we have this soon. And then also this dedication, currently emergency needed for this pandemic situation. Many people suffering. So we cannot go there to help, but somehow we have a faith that the prayer itself has a strength to overcome the problem. So for the benefit of all the sentient beings, and then this planet is suffering, may this pandemic goes away, and then people may use this kind of pandemic situation as an example, and then may they change the way of their living and thinking, and seeing more kind of a dependent arising, and then more friendly approaching or more understanding each other. And so I can say so many things, but anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. So please pray like that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche.